Howdy, y'all. So on the next episode of Ricky's Big World, we gonna spill all the tea.
Well, I don't see the body, so I'm like, when's the last time you walked up to a alligator and you saw the body before it attacked you? When do you see that?
Back in the Pizza World caverns, behind the test ovens, and in reality next to the bathrooms, it's Ricky's Big World.
Hi, and welcome back to
You were so unprepared. I was like, ready to go? Here we go. Bye.
another episode of Ricky's Big World where we eat wings. Let me show you these wings. Okay.
Before I eat them all.
Before she eats them. I don't know if you can see them. All right, it's got ranch dressing. There it went. There went. All right, so you see that? Isn't that great? And I got to feed Roxanna Jana because she is grouchy.
Yeah, I'm hangry now. You were hangry until you had
I've
food.
never been hangry. All right.
No.
All right.
You've never been hangry?
And Kyle, who made the wings, is standing here eating the wings too. So here we go. These are beautiful, lovely wings.
You know it's good when you eat your own food.
Which wings are they? Did you still separate the wings? Because you had like Iowa wings, you had something else. You had the soup.
These are just regular ones.
Sure, ain't nothing just regular.
They're crunchy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Do you want another one? I don't know who can just eat one wing and walk away.
I did.
I feel like you can't trust somebody like that. I'm just kidding.
Okay. So, what did you want to talk about today?
You had an alligator in your pool? How did I not know? I literally stalk you. That's my job. And I had no idea. What's happening?
You noticed I had an alligator in my pool. All right. So,
And I didn't even hear it from you. I heard it from somebody else. So it could just be a story.
oh, it's real.
It was a real alligator.
Well, can I tell the story? You're going to interrupt me all the time.
Nope, go ahead. I'll be
All
quiet
right.
and eat my wings.
So what happened is we came home and it was, I forgot what time of day it was, in the middle of the day. Came home, I went to let Jackson outside, and I happened to see the pool was, now the water moves a little too much. It's like, okay, it could be the wind or whatever it is. The water in the pool was moving, and Jackson walked outside with me, and all of a sudden he stopped, and he went into that protective mode. He got between me and the pool. So I was like, what the hell's going on? I look around. Alligator in my pool. I mean, it wasn't like a massive 8 foot, 9 foot alligator. Well, I don't know. I didn't measure the damn thing. But you could see on the pool the wet spot where he got in it. So what happened was the lawn guy did not close the gate all the way, and I did not realize we had alligators in the water behind the house. And evidently it must have went around to the other side and went into the water. And so there's a picture I have, because some people are like, oh, it's fake, it's gotta be fake. Because like Jeff will argue the point, and he's like, well, I don't see the body. So I'm like, when's the last time you walked up to a alligator and you saw the body before it attacked you? When do you see that?
Yeah, it's always underwater.
So I got a couple of pictures of this thing. I went back inside, grabbed my dog, and I went back inside. And evidently we spooked it because it managed to crawl out of the pool and went back outside. I put a lock on that gate. Now, the way the gate is that leads to the lake in the back, there are no horizontal piping or anything, or metal thing. It's all vertical. So, he can't really climb up on that. Thank God. So, I knew I was moving back to dinosaur land. But I had no idea there was going to be a damn dinosaur in my pool. And there it was. And I was looking around to see if it left like a dino diddle in there. I didn't see no dino doo-doo or nothing like that. So, But yeah, I thought you knew about that.
I didn't know about that. So, like, estimate how big? Like bigger than you?
I'm 6'4", so I'm what, 76 inches long. So I'm gonna say that just based off his head, I'd say 5 feet long.
That's pretty big.
It could be 6. I didn't see the tail or anything. I saw just the head poked up.
That would have been enough for me.
Well, at first I thought, okay, Jennifer's playing with me. She must have picked up something. Oh. That's,
Well, not the way Jackson acts.
That's son of a, ooh, man. That thing, yeah, Jackson, he was trying to get at it. And I was like, So I had to put him in the house. And he doesn't bark, but man, he started wailing. So, but I love the fact that he got between the pool and me.
Yeah, he was trying to protect you. Yeah.
What was going on? So, but I did notice. Here's the crazy thing, and Jennifer and I were joking around about it. We were sitting outside at night because we like to watch the sunset go down, and we were sitting outside and got night and everything, and we just happened to see something glowing like real far. And I joked around. I said it's probably alligator eyes.
Uh-oh.
But we got river otters there too, and ducks and geese and egrets and everything in that water. Fish. So he's probably at a happy home right now. I'm gonna leave him alone.
Who do you call if that happens?
Call
Who comes
Hogan.
who comes and gets him?
Crocodile damn dude. I ain't playing with you.
They probably have services for that.
They
in Louisiana,
actually do.
Right? Yeah.
There's a pest company in the area, and it talks about on his slogan thing. He's like raccoons, rats, alligators, and any other sort of mythical creature.
I love that.
So he said he'll get rid of Bigfoot too if you need it. So
that's who you call.
I guess that's who we call him.
That's crazy.
I mean, my thinking is he's probably living there way before I was living there, so I'm going to leave him alone. Just don't come in my yard.
Yeah, but if you would have just been in your pool, you'd have had to call somebody to come get him. Or are you just going to let him live in the pool?
Hell, I ain't living in my pool. No. Mm-mm. But I'm also not going to hurt an animal for being in its nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people that want to say, oh, I'll kill it. No, wow. Like you see a snake, wiggle by, I'm not going to kill it just because it's right there. Move the thing with something. Get a stick, move it.
So do they have snakes in Louisiana too?
Oh, big old.
Like dinosaur snakes? Like Georgia?
They got, all right, because the way Louisiana is, so deep in the south, you've got, of course, the alligators, crocodiles, and all that, but you also got these big, massive pythons, like in the Everglades.
No, thank you.
And, but that's more towards, going towards New Orleans. Now, I only live an hour from New Orleans. So, that's time for them to walk to wherever you are.
No, thank you.
That's why I don't go in the woods.
Have you seen snakes or anything?
I haven't seen a snake. What's funny? What I haven't seen there? Deer. I ain't seen one deer.
It's because the alligators are eating it.
Maybe. I saw one. I saw one dead on the highway. That's it. But alive, you go to Georgia, you see them standing right by the road. Here in Iowa, they're everywhere. I ain't seen one in Louisiana except for that one dead. And we live, like I said, towards in the woody area, so kind of surprises me so far. But yeah, alligator.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Cause I'm telling you what, if it had stayed in my pool, we were having some alligator that night for dinner.
You just said you wouldn't hurt him.
That's part of nature too. And I ain't gonna make no damn person boots out of it, but I'm just saying. I had me some gizzards.
May I have a napkin, sir?
You ain't got one?
No, I don't have a mic stand like you. Thank you, good sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky.
There's this mess again. All right, so I think you had mentioned something about Gen X.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
I just wanted to talk about growing up in that era. Things that made it great for you that maybe aren't around anymore. And I'm interested to know too, like, what kind of stuff you were doing that maybe I was still doing as a millennial that my kids definitely don't do.
It's interesting.
Like, my kids aren't out at night after, waiting for the street lights to come home. Like, that's not a thing my kids do.
That was definitely a thing we did back in the day.
I mean, like, my parents didn't really care all too much if I was in somebody's home, as long as I was, like, around somewhere.
Well, at least they look here. Our parents forgot they had children, so
Yeah, because they had those ads. Where are your children?
they did.
Do you know where your children
10 o'clock? Where are your kids? Because that was kind of the culture back then. And you know, I was just watching this thing, and they were talking about the culture, and here it goes back to movies again, where they were talking. What's wrong? Anyway,
Okay, go ahead.
so they were talking about something's always going on her side of the camera. So they were talking about films back in the 80s, and one of the concepts that makes films back in the 80s so great is the use of kids riding bicycles. And they pointed that out, and I thought the greatest movie, E.T., was like that. I mean, you look at Stranger Things, even though that's new, it was filmed based off the 80s. Bicycles, kids riding bicycles. So it brings back a nostalgia that you don't see a lot today.
Yeah, you really don't.
Because when I was a kid, let's say, not to age myself, but 82, I was 9 years old, turning 10. My birthday's in September. So, 10 and 82, 13, 85, 16, and 88. I grew up in the pivot time of the 80s. I grew up as a kid at the beginning of the 80s, as a teenager toward the end. And so I grew up at that time frame that we got to see all those great original movies. Ridgemont High, we saw Ghostbusters for the first time. We saw E.T. at the theater for the first time. Indiana Jones movies for the first time.
Star Wars.
Oh God, I was 5 years old when the first Star Wars came out, and I remember sitting at the drive-in in Columbus, Georgia. It is no longer a drive-in anymore; it's a college on that land now. It was a drive-in. I remember sitting in the back seat. Damn pro again. I was sitting in the back seat, and I was watching a movie. And all of a sudden, Darth Vader's helmet comes up. And I pitched a fit, started screaming, and started crying. And would not get off the floor of the back seat because he scared hell out of me. But again, 1977. And then there's this big monster on the screen that scared me. Darth Vader with that voice and everything. So, but point is, though, is that I still remember that to this day.
Yeah.
And I remember how great it was living in the late 70s, early 80s because it was so free. We could sit on the back of a truck and drive around. Nobody said nothing. My aunt had this huge station wagon we called the banana boat because it was bright yellow and it was just massive. It took up the whole street to turn left. We could sit in the back with a string tied to a toy car and have it out on the road while they drove. No seatbelts. And then the seatbelts we did have were the kinds that just went around the waist. And nobody did that.
Yeah.
It seems like the cars were better built back then.
Yeah.
And more protection. All metal.
Yeah, I was going to say metal for sure.
All metal. I would prefer, I love don't get me wrong, I love the new cars, the designs are nice. But give me a car from the 80s, 70s, whatever, that doesn't have all that computer crap in it. We used to have a fairly newer Dodge, what's that called? It's the SUV. Durango, that's it. And beautiful vehicle, rode great. But something was going on with the transmission. We took it in. A tiny little chip that cost $400 was the problem. So give me the cars from the 80s that didn't have all that crap in it anymore, Now, all right, let's get back to it. So then you get to, let's say, Coca-Cola. I remember before New Coke and all this other stuff, And so Coca-Cola tastes different.
Yeah, it had that cane sugar.
It was so good. And I remember as a kid going to a Walmart that first opened up, and we had never seen one before. And I want to say that Walmart started either in the late 70s or early 80s, I can't remember. The Phoenix City, Alabama, we went to that one. And you walk in, and every shelf had made in USA. Everything in Walmart's was made in USA. They didn't believe in going international or anything else. Now, I don't think you can find anything but China.
Right.
So, there was that. Prices, I remember prices. Now, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so shocked at prices these days, because, like, let's say Outback. You go to Outback. We used to, in the 90s, Jennifer and I would go and get the Alice Springs chicken, which was $6.99, and I thought that was high for a meal.
$6.99. You can't even get that at McDonald's now.
$6.99. You got Alice Springs chicken with potato, bread, and a drink. Drinks came with the meal, not separate like they are now.
That's crazy.
Crazy. And now that same chicken that never grew, you didn't get no extras, is $20. And it blows my mind when I see that. Shoney's, I found the Shoney's in Greenville, Alabama, on my way back from Atlanta filming, and I stopped in there, and I remember Shoney's like it was yesterday, but you don't see any of those anymore. So I used to go there as a kid. So wonderful memories. I remember when my mama worked at Shoney's as a waitress, and the person that was watching me would drop me off at Shoney's. I would sit there and roll silverware while Mama was working, drinking on a hot fudge sundae in an ice cold metal mug. And it takes me back to such good times as a kid.
Yeah.
But we were a lot freer than especially on Saturday morning. My ass was sitting there in front of that TV, laying on that carpet, eating a bowl of cereal and watching a cartoon. And then at a certain time, they went off. And then you were done, you get on your bicycle, you go ride. Mom, I'm going to such and such house. All right, bye. And that was it.
That's so cool.
I used to love Super Friends. And what cartoon is Thundar the Barbarian was my favorite cartoon back then.
Really?
Oh, it's Hanna-Barbera. It was so good. And it's kind of like the He-Man.
Yeah.
And I remember the toys from when I was a kid. I wish I had kept my He-Man Castle Grayskull. We were poor, but somehow my mama managed to get that. I remember when I first got my driver's license, gas was 74 cents a gallon.
I can't even imagine.
That was in 89, I think it was. Was it 89? Yeah. Because in Georgia, you can get a driver's license, a permit at 15, and the full license 16. That's it. There was no graduated this, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I remember my mama was looking at a house, and this was like high dollar expensive for the time. It was $90,000, and we couldn't afford it.
My heart.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
A $90,000.
$90,000, and no, it was in a luxurious neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so that was high.
Yeah.
Back then.
I hear about things like that too. Like you were talking about, like cars. They used to be pure metal. They're not now. Like the quality's just different. But I hear that in homes too. Like the wood quality in newer homes isn't the same.
I like some of that. Like our house in Louisiana was built in 2008.
I think that's...
I like the quality, but I kind of agree with you. It's like there's a reason why houses from 1910 are still around.
Yeah.
Because of how they were built.
Right.
It's hard to imagine a house built in 2025 lasting that long.
Yeah.
But I may be wrong. I don't know.
We'll have to find out.
Let's see, what else was there? God, I can't believe this. I remember sitting around, we were kids, and we were playing headlights.
Yeah, I think you talked recently on an episode about that, where you would run in front of cars.
But yeah, exactly. We were running.
It's
running
probably
the
the
street,
best that we don't.
and we're playing in the
still
street.
have that.
And if there's a car parked on the side, we look around. If a car was coming with the headlights, and somebody else saw the headlight touch you, you were out. So yeah, it was a little dangerous. But and our parents were sitting out there on the front porch watching the whole thing. Yeah, I'm gonna be getting hit now because I don't want to have to clean the mess up off that street.
That's crazy.
So, and but what was my point in saying that? Oh, because I remember we were playing and one of the guys came up and said, "Hey, you hear about this internet thing?" We didn't have internet. We didn't have cell phones. And I just remember everybody used to talk and walk around, chit-chatting, talking, actually having conversations. And you go to a restaurant, everybody's talking, everybody's smoking in the restaurant. And they smoking in the hospital. Doctors would come out, "Hey, your baby's here," and smoking away. Okay, so, and the nurses too. And so that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that didn't survive. But I remember talking about this internet thing. We thought it was a joke or some sci-fi thing. And then all of a sudden they started talking about cell phones. And they were this damn big.
This is actually, you walked up at the perfect time.
It's the perfect time.
Do you remember the first time you heard about the internet?
Yeah.
We're talking about the first time he heard about the internet. He was playing a game of headlights.
They were playing headlights in the middle of the street.
Did you play that game too? Headlights, you run in front of cars.
And if the headlight hits you, you're out.
That was an old game Ricky
Must
used to
be
play in
old
this.
Southern thing. We slow. But you remember before cell phones, before internet. Man.
It's probably why he's good at remembering phone numbers and I can't.
Yeah.
I can't even remember his phone number.
It
Ma-
was like 1982, and my high school got its first computer.
See?
And it couldn't do anything. That was the year I graduated, and we were like the experimental class. And I had to do my math on the computer, and it had its own program. It wasn't connected to the internet. It wasn't the internet then. And then it was around 80.
We're talking to Bob.
89, something like that. When AOL came out, I think, and we would get the.
Oh, a dial-up. Oh, God, I hate dial-up.
That's the one thing I'm glad we don't have anymore.
You've got mail.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember my first year in college, 1991, and they didn't have email. You had to use Hotmail. And I still remember it was rbartlett@hotmail.com.
I still have a Hotmail
Yeah.
that I use.
But that's how old it is.
See,
Yeah.
we would have to dial up at home. I bought a piece of jewelry on eBay.
And it come with a thing.
dial up took like 15 minutes to do it all.
so bad.
So you would go, like I worked for government, for city government, so you could go and use their computers, and it would take like 2 minutes instead of 5.
That was
I remember
fast.
when
That
they
was
used to send
way
you
fast.
AOL like on a CD-ROM that you had to
Yeah,
like
you
put
download
in the
it.
computer.
Oh, and then you
Download
had the floppy disk.
Yeah.
That was 1.44.
I remember floppy.
I remember-
You don't remember this, but
No, floppy CD-ROMs we were burning like our own CDs and stuff from like Napster and LimeWire at that point.
Oh,
we lived in
Napster.
Bullhead City. We bought the house, and the house they gave us a computer, and the computer. She goes, "Oh, you're going to need these," and it was like 2 big old stacks of floppy disks, and those were the operating systems for the computer.
I remember that, yeah.
And you'd have to load those things in. It took forever.
That's one of the
Middle
reasons.
school typing class used floppy disks.
Oh, the typing classes. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
they'd
that.
cover our hands and we'd have to like remember.
Yeah, there's a little
do
slide
that.
that would come over and you had to take a words per minute test.
Yeah.
But yeah, we learned about and how to use floppy disks in that class, and that was in 6th grade.
There was a dude in my school who would wear them around his neck like a gold chain, and he had floppy
The
disks on
floppy
it.
disk?
He was
One-
IT rich.
I guess.
1.44 is how much memory it held. It's crazy.
Need a program? Need a program? Need a program? Gotcha.
That's wild.
And the video games back then, Atari was great, but then you had the PC versions of Oregon Trail.
Oh, yep, I remember
I love
Oregon.
Oregon.
I always
I
died.
did too.
Dysentery.
Always.
Dysentery
Dysentery
got
gets you every time, damn it.
That my roommate in was going to college in the 80s, like 83, 84, to learn how to code. And he was up on like a 4-day caffeine binge at Cheetos, writing this program. And he woke me up in the middle of the night. He goes, "Come look at this, see what I did." So, all right. And he popped up his program, and it was a happy face, and it winked. That was it. It took him
Like,
4
hello,
days.
world.
It just went.
He made the first GIF.
That was it. It winked. I'm like, "You spent this is what you're going to college for?" He goes, "Well, it's a lot of X's and O's. You got to go back and fix this and fix that."
What's he doing today?
He does that.
Yeah,
Isn't
he
does
was
that
doing
stuff.
the IT for the
there you
state
go.
of Washington.
Yeah.
See, there it is.
Yeah.
I knew
I had to start
exactly.
somewhere.
I knew exactly who you were talking about. I was like, he does that stuff.
Mainframes were big too, so yeah.
Yeah, I thought he lost his mind. You know, 4 straight days making a winky face.
But we were talking about, Gen X community, about how free we were riding bicycles everywhere we wanted to. No, mom didn't give a damn as long as you were home before the street light went off. And
Or porch light. If that porch light winked, you were in trouble.
The one thing I'm
Ass
sad
whippings.
is gone is drive-ins.
driving was cool.
I am sad. Like there were like one
There's 4
when I was
here,
growing
well,
up, but
maybe 3 here in Iowa.
And I worked at a drive-in from my sophomore year all the way through graduating high school.
That's cool.
Rode the bike, the beach cruiser. I had the little bus driver hat, and a white shirt, and a bow tie. And
Have you been to the drive-in in Makokata?
yeah,
no, I haven't.
You haven't?
Uh-uh.
I love that
I
drive-in.
should take the kids. That'd be cool.
Take better
and watch the mosquitoes. It's not like that.
and watch the bugs.
If you got an SUV, open it up, back up, and watch it like that. Just
Yeah.
sit in the
That's
SUV.
what we did. We
I
sat
had my
in the back
dad's
of the
truck and had a shell on it. We would back it up, and there'd be pillows in the back and an ice chest, and you drop the tailgate and lift the
But was that before you could dial into the radio?
That was before because I
Yeah, it had
to
a
check those
speaker
speakers
outside.
Every Wednesday. I had to walk up and down and do every speaker in the whole drive-in theater. You checked it off, you wrote whatever was wrong with it, you gave it to the projectionist, and he was the one who had to come out and fix it on Thursday before Friday. And then on Thursday nights, we had to climb up on the marquee and change the big letters out to see what the movie was coming for Friday night. You did that every Thursday.
So you were talking about tapes. And-
Huge reels that they had, and then the projector was an arc welder, basically the same thing you use for welding, the arc rods. They connected, and that's what made the bright light that shone through the projector.
I never worked for a movie theater like that. So
Yeah.
in radio, when I started radio in the 90s, we still were doing the tapes, the reels. And even television, when I was a master control, we had tapes.
Yeah.
Now everything's server this, server that.
They used
But
to have the whole projection booth was cool because if the movie broke, they had a device on there where they would just take the movie, put it together, cut it evenly, throw some tape on it, and then put it back on. And the movies came in reels. It wasn't one big reel with the movies. You'd have 4 reels for a movie and 2 projectors. And when the one projector got down to, and you can see this in the movies even on TV, if you look up in the upper right corner, you see some dots flashing up there.
Yeah.
That told the projectionist the movie was about done, start the other reel. So they'd overlap each other, and then this one would go ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta when the film came out, and this one would keep going. And you never lost it. And the coolest thing is drive-ins in the fog, because the movie never made it to the screen. The fog would start swirling in different colors. And in California,
That's
close
cool.
to the coast, it's really wild because we'd have to go out and escort the drivers out to the exit because they couldn't see.
now, as a kid, I only remember ever going to
That's
one
crazy.
drive-in, and that was when I was 5.
Yeah.
And that's the last one until I was older, and then went to ones here. One in Seattle, I went to one in the 90s. But as far as a kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, I only did that one I remember.
Like technology's cool, but I think there are some things that were just perfect the way that they were and didn't need to.
Well, I like cell phones, but I think they get in the way. Sitting here.
Well, now it's an addiction.
Yeah. That and I don't know. It's just I don't like the cars today either. Like I said, too much technology that breaks down.
Yeah.
Give me a 1982 something. I'm fine. 1975 Ford F-150. Or is it F-175? Anyway, something. I don't know. And like I said, with Walmart, used to be nothing but made in the USA everywhere. You don't see that
It
anymore.
used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, remember
Originally,
that?
That was the whole reason everybody shopped there, because everything was made in the USA.
Made in the
I
USA.
had no idea
You
that
really
that was
know
why.
That was their thing.
No, I think like by the time I started like going to Walmart and stuff, like things were predominantly starting to switch over in the late 90s.
All over the store.
Now, my mama used to tell me back in the 60s, her first job, because she was in a high school program where she can go get a job, and she made $1.20 something an hour for an oil company. And so, and like my first job, well, hold on, my first legitimate job that paid taxes, I made $3.30 an hour, and then when I moved up to manager, I was $3.80 an hour. So, but living with your mama, I mean, I'm a teenager living with my mama, didn't have much expenses. So when I see people complaining because they're not making $20 an hour, I went, wait a minute, hold on now.
I think the drive-in paid me $3.10 an hour, and a year later I went to $3.25 when they increased the minimum wage, and I was like
Ecstatic to get that.
Because I had a '68 Camaro. That helped because gas was not that expensive.
Well,
back
we were
then
just
either.
talking about gas. He said it was like 74 cents. I was like,
When
can't
I
even
started
imagine.
driving, when him is like 5 cents.
It was like 40 or 50 cents.
Yes.
50 cents a gallon. Then it went up. I remember when it turned $1 a gallon. I was working at the drive-in and a gas station. I thought, oh, I'll never be able to drive my car again.
I
mean, some of these
remember.
places are like $6-7 a gallon
Ooh.
nowadays. Like California and
California,
stuff.
that's
It's
correct.
crazy.
I remember my mama smoked Winston Light 100s, and she always said, if cigarettes go up to $1, I quit.
Yeah.
Then it went to $1.50, went up to $2, $3. And I remember her going to Washington, D.C. for something, and she said, do you realize that it is $6 a pack in Washington, D.C.? I'll never go back again. Mm-hmm. So she came back to Georgia where it was $2 and something a pack. Then my aunt just now told me the other day, she was like, people are paying astronomical prices for a carton, like $80, and I'm like, you
For a
crazy?
carton?
For a carton. I don't smoke, so I don't
I
know.
don't either. I had no idea.
So she buys the cloves.
It was generational because at Christmas, my grandma would give my dad and his 2 sisters, my mom, and the sisters' husbands. Everybody got 2 cartons of cigarettes at Christmas in their stocking.
I remember that too.
That's the 60s and early 70s.
That's crazy. I had no idea you
I
guys
got
are giving
a-
cigarettes as gifts.
My grandmama will go to the textile company, and she would get a big, huge trash bag, like carpenter bag, get a huge, big trash bag of odd mixed match socks, and she'd bring them back. And then we in the South, these damn things made of wool, and she'd find the closest matches, and that's what you got for Christmas. And that was like, and she had the white fake tree with the tinsel all over it, and I remember it to this day. It was horrible, ugly tree, and you had to
Tinsel was
spray it
fake.
down so it wouldn't catch fire.
That's funny.
Mm,
That's crazy though.
Wow.
it is crazy. But
How things changed.
that episode went fast.
Yeah, I did.
Oh wow, we're getting back talking about that stuff, but it is crazy. You look around and you see stores that weren't open back then.
Yeah.
You see different things that are just. But the biggest shock that I have is how you got the same thing. Let's go back to the chicken. You got the same thing that cost $6.99. It's now $20, and it didn't improve. That's my problem with today. Is that nothing really improved, but they want to jack up the price for everything.
Yeah.
But I say one thing though, depends on quality too. I don't think the cars today are made of good quality. Now I'll say this about Pizza World: if y'all were open back in the day, I think the same quality would have been there today too.
Yeah.
And the same quality, y'all are quality. And again, y'all please believe me, I ain't saying that because they paying me for this or anything else. No, I'm saying that because I truly mean it. I really like the quality. Y'all's pizza tastes like it used to back in the day,
Yeah.
and it's just fantastic. So anyway, all right,
Well, that was fun.
that was a blast.
A nice trip down memory lane. I'm gonna have to take the kids to a drive-in now.
The Makokata one is great. I really liked it. And I think they're fairly inexpensive. I haven't been there in years. But you get to see 2 movies for the price of 1.
That's awesome.
So, and the concession stand's pretty good too.
I'm
But they
down.
have it tiered, so when you park in,
Oh, that's even better.
and they have a playground up underneath the screen.
Oh, kind of like in Greece.
Exactly, like in Greece. So, all right, that's another episode of Ricky's Big World. We're going to leave the front light on and the door open. But if you come in here singing some Debbie Gibson, we're going to say, hey, we friends. All right, bye. Debbie Gibson, I met Tiffany at concert behind stage.